Then while that was happening, I would be going to work at nighttime, come back in the morning, and just making more cold calls on more units. It got to the point where I'm like, okay, now we have 3 more units. Now I have 6 units. So we have 3 more units. And that was going to start December the 15th. We're getting access to them. Okay. So then again, do the same thing. IKEA, Costco, et cetera, et cetera. We're going, getting all this furniture, dropping them all off, getting the guys. Guys are going in, building all the furniture. And in 2-3 days, bam, done. Okay. Getting the listings up, listings ready, listings made, pictures taken. And just from the minute, like, I would get the units, I'm counting down how long it would take to get ready. Because every day the unit's not ready is every day that I'm losing money.
This is episode number 94 of the Short Term Rental Success Stories podcast.
Are you an investor that's looking to have your home professionally managed? Go to cohostit.com for more information.
Welcome back to Short Term Rental Success Stories. I'm your host, Julian Sage. This is a show where I talk to hosts about their journeys in starting and growing their short-term rental business. My goal is that you'll be able to walk away with practical information that'll help you become a better host and learn how to scale your business. Like any exceptional host, we all strive for 5-star reviews, so please go on over to iTunes and let us know what you enjoy, as it really helps support the show. If you haven't done so already, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation, to connect with the community. Hey, what is going on, Host Nation? I'm super excited to be back again with you this week. So today I had the special honor of speaking with Hamza Zafar. Hamza is a full-time electrical engineer and a Canadian citizen that's living and operating out of the Philadelphia area. In the past 3 months, Hamza has scaled from 0 to over 15 properties, all of these being master lease units. In this episode, Hamza shares his experience of going from BRRRR investing to student housing, and then ultimately discovering master lease investing and why, the pros and cons of each, what it's like starting and scaling a short-term rental business out of the Philadelphia area, and why he chose 1-bedroom apartments out of, all of the others. Some of his lessons learned being in Philadelphia, dealing with things like parties being a really big issue in the Philadelphia area, as well as some of the strategies that he's learned. Having a sales background, he definitely was utilizing that to be able to scale very rapidly. So he shares kind of his formula for how he was able to do that, as well as a lot of the lessons that he's learned along the way. So, of course, if you like my show notes for this episode, then go to shorttermsage.com/STR94. Or if you like my show notes sent directly to your inbox every week, then go to shorttermsage.com/show notes. With all that being said, on to this week's conversation. Hey, welcome back, Host Nation, to another episode of Short-Term Rental Success Stories. In this episode, I have the special honor of speaking with Hamza Zafar. Hamza, would you please introduce yourself to the Host Nation, let them know who you are, and what inspired you to get into short-term rentals?
My name is Hamza. I'm from Philadelphia right now. I'm currently based out of Philly. Just expanded to Dallas recently, doing short-term rentals. I work as an electrical engineer full-time, and then I also do short-term rentals and also do that full-time. So I have 2 full-time things I'm doing currently. What I originally started was doing student rentals back in Canada when I used to live in Canada. And as everyone's familiar with Bigger Pockets, that's where I originally started, learning everything from Bigger Pockets, learning the BRRRR method, trying to get the highest cash on cash return possible. And student rentals was what I found got me that highest cash on cash return. And after I came to Philadelphia for work, I realized the potential with short-term rentals and Airbnb. And I saw that there was actually more potential with short-term rentals than there were with student rentals. And then I just started diving into short-term rentals in Philadelphia. And then immediately started in October of 2020. So October, November, December, January, in about 4 months, we're almost at 15, 16 units now between Dallas and Philadelphia.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely want to talk about, you've definitely scaled up in a short amount of time. I'm sure that a lot of people are probably listening and saying, man, 2020 was a rough year for a lot of people, but you seem to, towards the tail end of it, have definitely picked up. So I want to talk about that, but just going back to the beginning, you said that you first got started into real estate doing student rentals. So can you talk a little bit about, what type of properties were you looking for, and what types of returns were you seeing with the student rentals?
So I'm Bigger Pockets, right? And that's usually where everybody starts. When I was reading Bigger Pockets, I saw that a lot of people were aiming to make at least $100, $200 in cash flow every month, right? And that was like a successful BRRRR. When I thought about it, I'm like, $100 a month is really nothing. $200 a month is really nothing. So I was looking in my area where I used to live, near the university area, big hotspot for student rentals. So bedrooms themselves were the going rate for a bedroom was around $600 a bedroom, right? If you were to rent per bedroom, if you rent the whole house, we were to get $1,600, $1,400. right? So it wasn't really worth it to rent a whole house by itself. I'd rather rent, on a per room basis to students. So the first deal that I did was in 2019, and that was basically my all-in. I bought a duplex, bought it for around $175,000, right next to the university, like a 3-minute walk. It's a duplex, 2 bedrooms on one side, 4 bedrooms on the other side. I put $100,000 into the duplex, and then I was all into it for $275,000. When I did the BRRRR, I got appraised at $350,000, $360,000. I got refinanced it. I put 80% out. So I took basically $110,000 out. So I pretty much took everything out of it that I put into it. And I'm still cash flowing now every month around $4,200 from that place. So I took all my money out. I left 20% equity in there. I paid off everything that I used to renovate the house. And now I'm renting it for around $4,200 a month.
And that $4,200, that's cash flow, or you still have to?
That's not including the mortgage and expenses. So I'll break that down for you a little bit further. The mortgage before the refinance was $800 a month. After the refinance, it's around $1,200 a month. Property taxes are around $200. So what I did was, to get those higher rents, basically, I had to furnish everything from, just like on an Airbnb, furnish everything from the beds, the bed frames, the mattresses, the 4K TVs, Wi-Fi, internet, everything basically. And when I renovated the house, I did everything brand new. So like from the water heaters to the HVAC, everything brand new. So I would never have anybody calling me in the middle of the night, or anybody calling me saying this is not working, right? Because for me, it's like, I'll just get something brand new done now rather than, have somebody call me for a problem later on. So there's 6 bedrooms total in the duplex on both sides altogether. I'm getting around $600. So hold on, this is before COVID. I was getting around $600 per bedroom. 1 bedroom was $800. Okay. After COVID happened, every international student in my city, and that city basically just disappeared. They left. Okay. I still had half of them stay because they're working as well. And the other half just left. So I thought, instead of basically putting an ad up and renting to students again, let me try Airbnb. Let me try short-term rentals. Now those same bedrooms are, instead of getting $600 a month, I'm making $1,000 a month on Airbnb. So just like, I think it was last month, the total income for that one duplex was around $5,000, right? This month's like a 43. Before Airbnb, when it was just for rentals, it was around $4,200, $3,800 a month, depending on the month. So
your net profit at the end of the month prior to short-term rentals was around $600 for that duplex.
No, it was about, I'd say, $1,800 for the duplex, $1,500 to $1,800 on the duplex, depending on utilities.
So $1,800 net cash flow. I mean, and you own the place. You're getting appreciation. I mean, that sounds like a pretty good deal. And I mean, $1,800 for a duplex cash flow. I mean, obviously you found something that's pretty successful. Why not continue scaling up with that?
The problem is in the city that I'm from. So the city that I'm from originally is Windsor, Ontario. Are you familiar with the Toronto market by any chance, or no?
No.
So the city that I'm from, when I bought in 2019, went under a crazy massive appreciation phase just within the last year. Because interest rates went almost pretty much sub 2% in the city that I'm from, everyone just started buying student rentals. Everybody caught on and everyone's overbidding. It got to a point where I was making offers on houses and I was being outbid like $50,000, $60,000 over asking. It was crazy. So I'm like, it's not worth it, right? Like, I'm not trying to pay, $350,000 for a house that was worth $220,000 literally 1 year ago at that point, right? And then the whole point is to BRRRR, right? I'm not going to put $100K into a house where I can't take the money at the end of the day. It's not worth it for me anymore. So now if you even go like on your local classifieds for that city specifically, the appreciation of the houses it went astronomical. It's insane. Prices doubled, like it went almost 40% higher within 1 year in that specific area because everybody caught on to, how much money you can make.
Do you think that for you was maybe a little bit more luck, or do you think that this was really like a skill in finding that right property, coming up with the numbers, or do you think that it was just, like you said, like things were just going crazy at that time? Every property was just appreciating so much that you were able to find a successful BRRRR.
Right, exactly. And so my original cash out was going to be at around $300,000. That's what I was hoping for at the appraisal. And during the time the appraisal happened, everything else appreciated. I got $350,000 out of it. Sure, I'm paying a little bit more in the mortgage, but I got more money back out. That way I don't have to basically keep any money in at all.
I mean, that still sounds pretty nice. You don't think that you could have, duplicated that, like you coming to Philadelphia or you doing something somewhere else?
That's what I thought about doing in Philadelphia, right? So in Philadelphia, and that's the thing, right? I try to figure out the niche in real estate where I can make the highest cash on cash return. I don't want to, just make $100, $200 a month. That's not worth my time, right? I want to make the highest cash flow every single month. And student rentals, in my opinion, for a traditional real estate standpoint, outside of short rentals is the best way possible. Okay. Here's the biggest problem in a city like Philadelphia, and why the reason the city that I'm from appreciate it like crazy. In Philadelphia right now, you have Wharton School of Business, you got Penn, you have Drexel, you have all these Ivy League schools, top tier schools. Okay. A 4-row townhouse costs around $600,000. Okay, $700,000. These apartments are costing $700,000, $600,000 in Center City, Rittenhouse, right? So you have to do the math. Then I'm buying a, let's say a 5-bedroom townhouse for $700,000, right? That's not worth it then, because the max I can get, let's say, for like $800 a month, right? So 5 bedrooms times $800 a month, it's around $4,000. But I'm paying $650,000, $700,000 for this house as well, right? So that's not really worth it at the end of the day. The reason why it was worth it in my city where I'm from, because the houses were so underappreciated, like they're so undervalued, we were still charging $600 a bedroom, right? So you were making more than the 1% rule. You were making much more than that.
And so, you had a really successful, turn with the student housing. And then what brought you to Philadelphia in changing up your whole strategy?
Yeah, so I move around a lot for my job. I've been in Philly for the last 2 years. And up until COVID, I was just living in Philadelphia, basically. I wasn't really doing anything investment-wise there. I was looking at units, I was looking at property, but it was too expensive, honestly. Everything was around 600, 700, 800,000. It was too much. It didn't make sense, right? The numbers did not work. There are some hot towns in Philly, like Fishtown, but that was like over last year. Like that's pretty much done now. There are other up and coming areas like Brewerytown, Grace Ferry, Grosse Pointe, but those are like very, very dangerous areas, right? Just like last week, they had a huge shootout, at an Airbnb in Grace Ferry. So like a lot of dangerous areas too. So it's not, for me, it's like, it's not really worth it. The cost to acquire a property, just that 20% down, right? For a $600,000 property, how long will it take you to get that one unit? It's not really worth it, for a cash and cash return.
So you were in Philadelphia for around about 7-8 months before you actually got into short-term rentals, and how did you kind of discover that?
Yeah, I was in Philly for about, I'd say 1 year, 1.5 years, basically. Just basically living and working, basically. And then as COVID happened, I saw my students basically leave. I decided to put my unit up on Airbnb. And like I said, instead of getting $600 a month for that bedroom, I was getting $1,000 a month for that bedroom on Airbnb, right? So now I thought, you know what? Let me take a look at see how the short-term rental game is going to be in Philadelphia. And that time I discovered Sean Rockagy, as everybody else has from Airbnb Automated, right? And I've been watching Sean Rockagy's videos for the longest time, like the last 2 years now, right? I just never thought, I'd end up in the same city as him, basically, right? So that's actually very surprising. Like literally every single time he talks about Philadelphia, like I'm literally in the same city he's talking about, right? So in my head, I'm like, if he can do it, I can pretty much do the same thing. I've had all the experience before. There's not much more difference. The only main difference is between, doing actual like renovations and BRRRR and regular real estate and Airbnb short-term rentals is the operations and customer service aspect of it. That's really it, right? If you can make the math work and if you can manage everything efficiently, then you can handle it, a short-term rental. When I was doing that renovation on that duplex, it was $100,000 of my own money, right? And I was a GC. I managed everything from the roofing, from the HVAC, foundation, framing, everything, right? I had guys run away with money. I had guys that chased after money. Like I did everything, right? So just from the experience from there, like I knew I'm like, if I can handle that, I can handle a short-term rental, no problem. So in September, basically, I wanted to test the model, right? Just see the demand, right? Obviously, you go on AirDNA, but the problem with AirDNA at that time was you couldn't really trust statistics because they were really wrong because of COVID, right? So what I decided was, I'm like, all right, let me first try the arbitrage model and see if a landlord bites or not, just to test the model out, right? And at this point in Philly, everybody was leaving the city. Like everyone was leaving the city. So I saw that a lot of landlords were basically open to the idea of arbitrage. So, and one of my skill sets is, besides being an engineer, I'm very, very good at sales, right? I worked at sales and cell phones. I worked at sales and a lot of like high school jobs when I was younger. So sales are like one of the things I'm really good at besides being an engineer. So I just started cold calling, started going on Zillow, emailing, calling. For every 100 emails I send out, I'd get like 95 no's, 4 hell no's, and 1 let's talk, right? So I took that, within the first week of emailing people, I had one landlord that said yes to me. It was a 4-bedroom house, okay? And decided, I'm going to rent it per room, basically. And that whole first month of October, I got almost like 90% occupancy, okay, for the 4 bedrooms themselves. And at that point, I was basically learning the Airbnb system. And in those 4 months, I had so many people coming in and out. There's 4 bedrooms, right? So I would have probably 1-day stays all the time for 4 different rooms every single day. So probably had 100 guests just in that first month alone, right? So just from that first month, I handled everything from learning everything from, resolution claims and the problems with the Airbnb guests and smoking in the rooms and dealing with, situations where guests are, causing problems, or a lot of the nitty gritty stuff of Airbnb that you don't really learn until you have a lot of problematic guests. And the thing in Philly is there's a lot of problematic guests, right? So I basically learned everything I had to learn the process and just, and then I actually learned how to clean efficiently as well, right? I didn't do any cleaning before that. So we were doing all our cleaning myself, my wife, every day, luckily for my job, I work at nighttime from 9 p.m. to 5 in the morning. So then during the day, at 11 when people check out, we would just clean the whole place ourselves and get the place ready just to make it, just to learn everything basically, right? So after October, I'm like, all right, so the demand is there. Now I need to scale this up. So that townhouse, I arbitraged only for 4 months. I just ended the lease to that one like last month, okay? Because I knew I just wanted it for 4 months just so that I can test the market and see how it is. Scale-wise, you can't really scale that, right? Just the laundry for all 4 units, the logistics does not work, right? The biggest problem that a lot of people have is laundry. Laundry is the biggest problem, right? Time is everything, right? If you're waiting, if you have 1 washer dryer in the house and you have 4 bedrooms, right? It's going to take you 6-7 hours, right, to run the dryer for all of them. It doesn't work. It's impossible, right?
Can you talk about some of the numbers with that unit? Like how much did you rent out the place for, and what was the?
Yeah. So first month of October, the rent for that unit was $1,900. Okay. Sorry, no, that was $2,100. Okay. Plus utilities. Utilities are running around $200 with Wi-Fi. It's $2,250. The month of October brought in $4,000. Okay. So I saw that I made $1,700 in net cash flow after all expenses, right? And my only cost was around $3,000 in furniture. It wasn't much. And I went like very, very cheap. I went like the cheapest bed frames, the cheapest mattress, the $10 nightstand, just to test the market to see how it was. All right. And it worked.
So this was you got into the property for $2,100. That was rent and security?
Security was $700.
Security was $700.
No loss.
So okay. And then you spent on 4 separate rooms out of that townhouse $2,000 total?
Here's the best part. That townhouse of the 4 bedrooms, 3 of the bedrooms already came fully furnished with beds, mattresses, bed frames, everything. I had to only furnish 1 room and get some TVs for everything and buy some utensils, and that's basically it.
And how much? Philadelphia was already hit pretty hard during COVID, and then nightly rates. How much were these rooms going for?
These rooms were going for around $40 to $50 a night. And
people were booking them up instead of staying like a big. Like a Sonder. I saw Sonder, like they're like, $70 for like a whole, a Sonder suite, but people are still.
What I noticed is that, people that are booking their rooms for $40 a night aren't your, class A citizens, let's put it that way, right? They're there for, the majority of them were all local people from Philadelphia, all right? So they were there for other reasons, just to get a quick room for the night for $40, all right? And that basically, we having all the problematic guests, we learned a lot, how to deal with tough situations that a lot of guests, if you throw them into, they don't know how to respond, right? So I can get more into that later on some crazy stories that happened with guests and what I did to solve those. But yeah, that like 4-bedroom unit taught us a lot, on the whole processes and how to deal with the claims department, how to deal with the resolution department, what to say exactly when you're emailing them to get them to pay you out, like everything.
And why didn't you? Because you said that prior to this, you were short-term renting the student housing in Canada. Why not just continue on with that if that was doing so well?
I did. It's still going on right now.
Or like scaling in Canada, like Philadelphia was already pretty hard. A lot of people probably also move into that area. Short-term rental operators. So why not do it somewhere else where maybe there's less competition?
The problem is, like, for example, like my city in Canada specifically, the interest rates for housing right now, residential houses in a 30-year amortization, it's at, I think last time I checked was like 1.8 something. It's insanely low, right? So everyone's overbidding on these houses like no tomorrow. They're basically going in and buying these houses that are worth maybe 175 or 200, paying 350 for them because the monthly rate 2 years ago is the same now because the interest rate, right? So it's not worth, to put that much money into a house that's literally worth only maybe 60% of its value.
You couldn't like lease those out as well?
The problem is that a lot of people where I'm from in my city, they don't think, like over like in a big city like Philadelphia, in their head is like, okay, why don't I just do that myself, basically, right? It's a very different mindset where I'm from than the mindset here in America. It's a very, very different mindset.
So in Canada, people are more inclined to say, why don't I do it myself rather than...
Exactly. Especially the city that I'm from is very like small time landlords. A lot of them don't really think on a bigger scale. For them, it's just, trying to take every dollar they can. So for them, it's like, if I pitch them as a business idea, they'll just reply back to me, I'll just do it myself. Trust me, I know it's very weird. Like the city that I'm from, like the mentality there is not like the mentality here. That's why this business model could not work where I'm from.
So why isn't everybody, is everybody just doing it themselves up in Canada? Like they're just buying their own places and short-term renting?
Literally, like if you go right now, the housing market is a big problem for the residential people because everybody's buying all these houses and they're making them all student rentals, right? You're buying family houses, going into a living room, cutting it in half, making it 2 bedrooms, right? Going to the basement, making it 4 bedrooms, and just renting it to all the students all the time.
Wow. So they're having a kind of what everybody says here is like short-term rentals are, really causing, issues for long-term residentials in Canada. You're saying it's potentially even worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like especially the city that I'm from, right? The university is a big university, right? People coming from India, people coming from Pakistan, people coming from China, a lot of international students studying medicine and engineering. There's not enough housing for these students. A lot of people realize that. They're buying up all these houses in the area and just literally walking into the living room saying, all right, drywall here, frame, 3 bedrooms here, Like that's literally what's happening. So the regular people, they're not getting a chance to buy a property that's worth it to them at that point.
So everybody already in Canada is already kind of like a short-term rental operator, but they're just working with students as opposed to short-term guests.
Waterloo, Toronto, London, everyone is doing student rentals right now.
Okay. Interesting. So they haven't really picked up the short-term rental trend. It's more just focused on students.
It's actually, I don't know if you know, in Toronto, the city of Vaughan completely banned it. VRBO just announced 2 weeks ago they're completely moving out of Toronto. They got completely banned in Toronto. Airbnb now has like some, how the rules are in New York? It's even crazier than in New York now, where you have to have a minimum of a 30-day stay. It can't be more than 180 days. You have to be living with the property. Some crazy rules where like it doesn't even make sense anymore to Airbnb or short-term rental in Toronto and the GTA. Like the rules are very, very against short-term rental. So everyone's resolved to student rentals at this point.
Okay, so it's kind of the safe haven. So going back, so you were running this townhouse, 4 rooms, really low price and dealing with a lot of not the best quality guests. But you were finding success. So did you decide to scale up with that, or did you decide to pivot?
Yeah, so I decided, I'm like, okay, this 4-bedroom stuff is what I wanted to do just to test the market, right? And I didn't really put that much money into it, and the lease was ending in 3 months. All right, now I need to make a viable business plan where I can scale this, automate this, hire the people needed, turn this into a full-fledged business, okay? So I then started cold calling different places, but I made sure I wouldn't do it by rooms. I would do it by actual like homes, right? So the first unit I did, I sent a bunch more cold call emails, calls, phone calls, went to people's houses, to take a look at properties. I told them how much I'd be willing to give them. They'd get insulted and kick me out their house. Like, trust me, like I went through it all, right? Rejection is one of the best things about this business, right? Like if you're working in sales, rejection is just part of the game. It's a numbers game. The more times you inquire about a property, the more rejection you'll get, but also the higher chances of a yes you're going to find as well, right? So I finally found a couple that owned a house. I was vacant. They said yes to it. They actually had 2 properties. Well, actually, these are very 2 special properties. We'll go into later. They said yes to these 2 properties. It was a 2-bedroom townhouse, a rent for $1,900 a month in a really nice area in Queens Village, Philadelphia. We furnished the 2-bedroom for around $5,000. And no last month, just a $500 security deposit. That's it. And the first month of November, 97% occupancy, around $4,300 in revenue for that month. The only cost was $1,900 in rent and about $300 in utilities, Wi-Fi, things like that.
And how long did it take you to get those units set up?
That one took that was when it was just me and my wife. So me and my wife would literally go to IKEA. We'd carry 200-pound sofas upstairs. We'd carry bed frames, like mattresses, everything. I'm telling you, like before, like, so me and my wife, we just got married, right? Like recently. So like this, like actually like, I guess brought us a little closer, carrying 200-pound sofas upstairs, up and downstairs, right? You get to, see things. But it was fun, you get to experience building furniture together. You order some pizza, you guys are building stuff all night long. But then I realized, I'm like, all right, this is fun and all, but I can't scale this, right? So it took us about a week and a half, about a week, I'd say a week. It took us about a week to get the place ready. So a week to get the place ready, and the whole month of November, just almost 95% occupancy.
Wow. So were you doing something different than what everybody else? Because, when I look at Philadelphia, I saw that they were hit really hard. Were you just like trying to just like underprice, or what was kind of your strategy to hit those numbers?
So here's the thing. During November was actually one of the best months because I noticed that 60% of the people coming were all from New York. Philadelphia in November was fully open. There's no lockdowns, no restrictions. Was at 50% indoor dining. Everything was fully open. New York was fully closed, right? So everybody from New York and Connecticut were coming down to Philly to visit Philly and experience Philly, right? That's why we were getting a lot of bookings. And that house could have up to 8 people, okay? So it was a very nice house. It was bi-level, right? So we took really good pictures and whatnot. And remember, this was all from my phone camera. We didn't have a professional photographer or anything. It was all done grassroots style. So, and, we were just, I guess the listing was good and we were, making good revenues.
And with this particular property was an investor and they had 2 units, you said?
Yeah.
Or two different properties, or was it like was it another?
2 different units. One property, then another property like 5 minutes away in a different area. So that one actually was going to become vacant next month in December the 1st. So we decided that, all right, I'll take this unit off you guys as well in December the 1st.
Wow. So your first month in October was those 4 individual rooms, and then the following month after that success, you went out and you found this 2 unit, and that was doing well. Then the following month, you picked up the second unit that was available at that property. So at this point, you're at 2 units, but then you scaled back on that first property just recently. I mean, from 2 units, and that was probably around November, December?
Yep.
And in about 2 months now, you've scaled up to around 15. Can you talk about like what's been happening, during this past couple months?
So here's the thing, right? For me, velocity of cash management is a very important thing, right? So a lot of people have talked about this too. I don't know. Do you know who the Kwok brothers are? I think I'm pronouncing the name wrong. The guys on YouTube that do a lot of real estate. He basically talks a lot about HELOCs and using that money, right, to basically invest in your and on your down payment of your house, and then you're using credit card churning, right? So I did a lot of that basically. So what I needed was basically a way to fund all these units. So the number one thing I did was open a business credit card with Chase, Bank of America, basically every business card possible, right? They had huge cashbacks. So I had a lot of credit that I could use, okay? Then on top of that, I remember I pulled out a good amount of money for my student rental, almost $100,000. So after I paid everything off, I had like $20,000 something left. And also my full-time job as an engineer pays a lot of money too. So I use that as well, to basically fund everything. Now for me, it's finding deals, right? So in the month of November, all I did was find deals and basically get them started and get them rolling, okay? Near November 15th, I found 3 units, okay? With those 3 units, I had to get them furnished. The lease started December the 1st, but I got access to them on the 15th. At this point now, I'm like, okay, I can't be cleaning all these units myself. I need to hire out, okay? So I found a couple of guys in the area that are willing to help out, just because I'm good friends, with like the Mexican community in the Philadelphia. So I had a lot of guys, they're looking for work. They got laid off recently, and they were friends and stuff. So, I hired them to help me on. These are like really good guys, like really good handyman skills, really good cleaning skills and whatnot. So what we did was these first 3 units, we took them all at once, all right? We went IKEA, Costco, everywhere, driving to New Jersey, driving everywhere for everything we need, deliver all the furniture there. And then these guys would just go in, boom, within 2 days, every furniture built for every single unit. And then my wife would come in and she would put the pictures up, design everything the right way, cutlery, all the utensils, kitchen stuff. She would go and do all that. And then while that was happening, I would be going to work at nighttime, come back in the morning, and just making more cold calls on more units. It got to the point where I'm like, okay, now we have 3 more units. Now I have 6 units. And so we have 3 more units. And that was going to start December the 15th. We're going to get access to them, okay? So then again, do the same thing. IKEA, Costco, et cetera, et cetera. We're going, getting all this furniture, dropping them all off, getting the guys. Guys are going in, building all the furniture. And then 2-3 days, bam, done, okay? Getting the listings up, listings ready, listings made, pictures taken. And just from the minute, I would get the units. I'm counting down how long it would take to get ready, because every day the unit's not ready is every day that I'm losing money, right? So at that point, by December, I'd say the 30th, we're at around, or near the end, sometime in December, around 6 units, like 6 separate units, either from the first 4-bedroom and the 2-bedroom. Now, here's the crazy part. In Philadelphia, I don't know if do you watch Sean Rocky's videos or no?
Yeah, I've seen his videos.
Yeah, so he had a big problem in Philadelphia where he'd have crazy parties being thrown in his townhouses, right? It got so bad for him to the point where he had to end his leases right away because it got so bad. In December, Philadelphia went on a lockdown, and that 2-bedroom townhouse that I had and the other 2-bedroom unit that the couple gave me, it was parties being thrown like no tomorrow. All right. It got to a point where there was a party being thrown. I walked inside, told everyone to get up and get out. Your reservation's canceled. Airbnb's on speakerphone with me at this point. All right. And they all wanted to fight me. Okay. So I called the police. Police kicked them out. Like, it was a mess. And I told myself, like, I can't, grow my business when I'm thinking about people throwing parties at these units. Okay. And that's a problem that I realized Sean had too. So that's what he did. He pretty much dismantled all of his leases that are those townhouses and pretty much focused on, smaller units. And that's what I did too. I told the owners, I'm like, I can't, handle this anymore, to the point where it's bad for the neighbors, it's bad for you guys, and it's bad for me as well. Even though I'm making money, stress and time is very important too, right? So I can't be stressing at nighttime, not, wanting to sleep in case someone's going to throw a party or not. And trust me, I had everything from the minute system, the Ring cameras, everything, anti-party messaging, everything. People in the city do not care. Like, they'll show up with 20 people at 1 a.m. It's crazy, right? So, and you'll be sleeping. There's nothing you can do. So it got that bad where I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you guys the units back. You can take your security deposits. I'm done with them. So once I got those 2 units out of my head at the end of December, I pretty much just went full sales call mode, just kept getting more units basically. Okay. I just got, there was 3 or 4, 3 more units now. So now I gave those 2 back, and the 4-bedroom unit just ended. So now I have 6 apartments in Philadelphia, all 1-bedroom studios. I just got then at the beginning of January, got 3 more. Okay. So we just finished furnishing all those 3 units, and we finished getting those ready, and those are all live right now as well. So now we're at 9 units. Okay. This is all done the last 2 weeks. I just literally 2 days ago went and acquired a 10th unit for the lease for that, starting on the 1st of February in 9 days. And last week I went to Dallas, Texas. I negotiated with the landlord there from California, who owns an apartment complex, and I acquired 6 units from him. So right now I'm literally building my Wayfair cart on ordering a bunch of units to Dallas, Texas. I'm going to fly out there in about 2 weeks. I have a bunch of guys there that I know. We're going to spend 3 days building out 6 apartments within 3 days. That's the goal. 12-hour work days a day. 12-hour work days, basically, just building out furniture for 6 apartments. And then while I'm going to be gone, my wife's going to be here working with the crew here to build out the furniture for the studio here. So that will put me up to 16 units, basically.
Hey, this is Julian, and I wanted to be able to give you our newest book, Airbnb Secrets Revealed: How to Build a Fortune on Airbnb Without Owning Property. In this book, we talk about the concepts of rental arbitrage investing, as well as co-hosting, and how you can build a business leveraging other people's properties. This book is perfect for the new short-term rental investor, and it's something that I wish that I had when I first started, as it would have saved me a lot of trouble and helped me to understand how to be able to leverage the power of short-term rental investing in your own real estate portfolio. If you'd like to get our newest book completely for free, go to shorttermsage.com/free book. Now, back to the show. How much are you looking to invest per unit, and what type of cash flow are you pre-analyzing these deals and saying like, hey, these are going to be hitting certain numbers? Like what are you looking when you're analyzing?
My goal is to at least so here's the thing, depending on your region. Because I know with vacation rentals, it's actually much different. It's a much different numbers wise, right? You guys are making much more numbers, but it's a very different ballgame when you're doing vacation rentals and beach houses in Miami, things like that, rather compared to just studios and 1-bedrooms in a downtown metropolitan city, right? So as you know, the gross margin is usually around 30%. Sometimes you can get to 40 if you're more efficient with your operations or not. And that's what I'm trying to do. What I realize is that if I'm at 6 units, 5 units, I still have to clean myself or pay cleaners a ridiculous amount because I'm not big enough, right? I'm not small enough, but I'm not big enough where I can in-hire cleaners, where I can make my operations go as quickly as possible, right? So I had to basically scale as big as I can. That way I can hire cleaners in-house and pay them an amount that's worth it to me. and basically scale to the point where I can afford to pay, somebody, I can afford to pay a virtual assistant. I can afford, which I'm doing right now. So I'm actually training a virtual assistant right now in Pakistan. I'm training, more cleaners. I've made one of my cleaners a supervisor, hired another cleaner, to the point where I don't have to do anything anymore. Everything's automated, everything's taken care of. So I realized that I have to expand as big as possible. That way I can automate as much as possible.
So you're hitting around 30% profit margins, but for these one bedrooms, I mean, like how much are you cash flowing on? Like how much are you investing, and then what's the cash
flow? So I'll give an example. For a one bedroom, this month right now, we're at, what's the month right now? The 21st of January. Well, let's use December, for example. December was complete coronavirus lockdown in Philadelphia. Everything was locked down. And I was at 95 to 90% occupancy for all my one bedroom studios. Nothing less than 90%. Okay. So let's say the rent for one of the studios is $1,000, right? The gross revenue would bring in would be like $2,000. One of the rents for my one bedroom was $1,400. It would bring in $2,800, right? So I would try my best to at least double the revenue in rents, basically. And then everything after that, you're added on overhead costs, cleaners costs, that's all extra. And that's where you would end up at your 30%.
And why are you specifically, just targeting kind of like one bedrooms? Why not, go larger bedroom count, higher price point? Why keep everything?
Risk. Honestly, it's risk. I don't know what it is about this city, but people just love throwing parties and like going crazy. And I can't take the risk anymore. Like literally, if you go on the news right now, there was a shooting at an Airbnb last week in an area, a crazy party house. Sean Rocky had dismantled a bunch of his townhouse leases because of crazy parties being thrown. Same thing with me. I don't know. I honestly don't know what it is. There's something about people in the city where you see literally anything that's bigger than 2 bedrooms. All right, guys, we're throwing a party tonight. It's insane.
And are people just like underpricing, or are they even the more expensive ones this is happening?
Here's the crazy part. Somebody booked a townhouse, like the townhouse, for 3 days. Okay. Paid like $200 a night, okay? Somebody on Airbnb messaged me saying, hey, just thought I'd let you know, this person booked your Airbnb. They're advertising on Instagram, and the person on Instagram posted, huge party, 3-day party, bring kush, bring drinks, bring whatever. We're going to have a casino night, gambling. We're going to go crazy. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like, what is going on, right? So thank God for this person who saw on Instagram. It was some random person I've never met in my life. They saw the picture of a bedroom. They went on Airbnb and tried to find the picture of that bedroom and found me. That person that night tried to get in. I already called Airbnb. I locked them out and everything. I told them you're not getting inside the house. They're like, what do you mean I paid $600 for a night? I'm like, you can do whatever you want. Not getting in the house. Locked him out, and he didn't even complain or nothing. He knew he got caught. I sent him the screenshots of his Instagram post, and he just walked away from it, basically.
That is wild. So
I'm telling you, there's something crazy about this city where people love throwing parties and ragers. It's insane. So anything after a one bedroom gives me anxiety. I can't handle it. It's insane. People just love throwing parties. But anything one bedroom and under, never had a problem once. Literally, I've had properties where I literally furnished in October. I haven't been to in 3 months because they're run so efficiently. Like Class A guests, upscale people, never had a problem once. But literally 2 bedrooms and above, party.
Because usually and that's kind of the unique thing is like usually, the smaller you get, the cheaper you get, you might be dealing with, people that aren't the best quality, but you're saying because you're keeping it so small that's preventing the party people from even coming into the property in the first place. So are you able to like increase your 1 bedroom nightly rates, or like how does that work in Philadelphia if so many people are picking up 1 bedrooms to short-term rent? Is there some type of rating system?
Right, so location is the main thing, right? You can find a 1 bedroom for $800 in South Philadelphia, but nobody wants to go to South Philadelphia, right? Do you want to go to Are you familiar with the area or no?
No.
Oh, so they want to go like downtown. They want to go to Rittenhouse. They want to go to Center City. That's where all my units are. They're all Center City and Rittenhouse, right? The areas are amazing. That's where everybody wants to go to, right? And another thing is, right, what's differentiating me and somebody else's Airbnb is the furniture inside, right? I don't cheap out on the furniture. I try to get the nicest mattresses, the best pillows, the best bed sheets, and reviews matter too. If you look at my account, I don't know if you saw all the reviews I had. I think I've had 4.93 overall after 150 reviews, right? Like my reviews are top notch. I try to do everything I can to make sure I get that 5-star review no matter what. So reviews is one thing, and value as well. What do I have in my unit that somebody else doesn't have? I value parking. Parking downtown is insane. It's impossible to find parking downtown. For all these units, I give people free parking. I met a guy who owns a parking garage. We struck a deal for a bunch of my units. He's going to give me a parking pass. So I pay, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month just in parking passes, right? So let's say parking pass is $240. for the month, right? That's an $8 a day average. I just increased my price by $8 a day. But people will book it then because you have that free parking available. So even this month right now, one unit I have 100% occupancy, another unit I have 97% occupancy, another unit I have 98% occupancy. Like, that's a very, very high occupancy because of these reasons.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, and now that you kind of brought that up, when I was looking at your listings, I was seeing that like there's a bed right next to the kitchen, and I'm just like, man, these places are tiny, but you're also, they don't look like trap houses, like they're
very nice, newly renovated, nice mattress, nice bed frames, 55-inch 4K TVs, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix, everything included, free parking, right? The majority of my guests have been people who are traveling from out of state that are coming to the city. A lot of people are coming for work, they're coming for business. I've had a Microsoft engineer stay for 4 months at one of my units, right? And paying top dollar, right? So like people are working from home now. So a lot of my guests are those up class A citizens that aren't, destroying the unit or throwing parties or whatnot. They're just, to visit. Because you have to remember, right? Even though everything's shut down in Philly itself is a huge tourist destination. The reason why we have such amazing Airbnb laws is because the city makes a lot of money from Airbnb, right? From the taxes. Wharton School of Business, Drexel, Penn, Temple, right? You have all these other events going on. You have tourist attractions, you have the Rocky Steps, and on top of that, the state being open as well, right? So New York helps a lot too. So a lot of people are coming for those reasons as well. So touristy wise, the city is still there for business and for work and for school, right? Even though some things are closed, that demand is still there, especially in the area that I'm in, which is downtown.
And going back, so obviously you've got some sales skills, and you were calling. I mean, you must have been just on the phone nonstop. What were some of the most common objections that you were hearing, and kind of what was the temperament of Airbnb in Philadelphia when everything's kind of on the news about like all these party houses and stuff like that that's happening.
Right. So my strategy was, I have to basically figure out how to squeeze an owner that needs revenue coming in, okay? I'm a landlord, right? I have fixed costs every month, right? My property taxes are a fixed cost. My mortgage is a fixed cost. My interest is a fixed cost. Utilities, everything. They're all fixed costs. Whether somebody's paying me 80% of rent or 100% of rent, 80, 70% is still better than zero, okay? So I would go on Zillow. I would find basically units that are basically on there for like 3 months vacant, 4 months vacant. And these are the landlords that are pretty much in dire need to rent, okay? That are willing to negotiate on price. So like if I tell you about the lease concessions I did, for example, like in Philly, I would do like 2-year lease, 3 months free, or 3.5 months free, right? Like, trust me, like it's crazy lease concessions, but it'd be the net effective though, right? So, for example, the one deal I negotiated in Dallas, it was like, I think it was 3-4 months free on a 2-year lease, right? So I only do deals where I can get a huge lease concession on top of it, right? To make it worth it for me. So I would just cold call people and find landlords that basically are in a tough situation that need the money, okay? I would approach them and give them, all the information they require. I would tell them, I wouldn't mention Airbnb at all. I would just mention, short-term travel, how their sales pitch goes. You don't mention Airbnb, you don't mention anything. You just mention short-term travel, corporate clients, corporate customers, okay? When I mention that to them, then they're more interested. They're more interested, okay? Now I will tell them you're basically hands-off. You're not dealing with an individual. You're dealing with my company. You get a check deposit in your bank account every month. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about a tenant not paying rent. You don't have to worry about not evicting a tenant. You don't have to worry about any of those issues whatsoever. You're getting your check deposit to pay your bills every month. And that's the majority of the reason why a lot of people are saying yes, because they're in that tough situation of having evicted for 3 months.
And what were some of the most common objections that you'd hear?
Some of those common objections were, one of them was price, right? A lot of people are still in delusion where they think they can get $2,700 for, a 3-bedroom. Before COVID, sure. Now it's going to be worth $1,800. That's the going market rate, right? Prices drop like crazy for rent. So a lot of people, I would tell them I want lease concessions. They'd be like, no lease concessions. You're paying full market. One person tried telling me, because you're making money, I want to charge you 10% more. I would tell him, I'm here to ask you for 30% less, right? At that point, he literally told me, get out of my house. I'm like, all right.
So your strategy, would you just cold call people, or would you actually go to every single proproperty, or was it a mix?
I would send a template. I had an email, like a script that I typed out, see what worked or what not. After a while, I developed the script really well. I would just blast it to like 100 units every day. Like 50 of them would email me saying leave me alone, stop messaging me or whatnot. And then never, this is illegal. Are you a realtor? Just weird things basically. And then occasionally, once in a while, I'd get a yes.
And you would go through what, Zillow, and then just like Zillow. And so you were sending these emails out to like real estate agents, or was it all?
real estate agents, when you send it to them, didn't really get anywhere. Okay. I would find units that are listed by owner. If you're listing it by owner, you're going to get the email to the owner right away.
I mean, how many listings in Philadelphia were vacant and sitting on the market for
hundreds? If you even go right now, there's hundreds and hundreds of vacant listings. Literally right now, I think it was an apartment complex that asked me, we have 10 units we want to give you. Because I have a website, right, that it's dedicated towards owners and investors that are looking to give me units. And I have an Instagram as well that people find me on. And I had an owner basically approach me and saying, we have 10 vacant units in a complex in downtown, which is right next to all my units. I just don't have the capital right now, to expand to 10 more units all at once. So I literally have to say no, right? So trust me, there's a big problem right now in the city where everyone is leaving and all these owners are basically losing money, bleeding money every month. So they're basically open to different options.
Why? What's happening in Philadelphia? Is everybody just moving out, or like?
Well, you have to think about it like this, right? School is a big thing in the city. Wharton School of Business, one of the top business schools in the whole United States, right? Penn is an Ivy League school, right? Drexel, top engineering school. All these schools are all online for whoever knows how long, right? Every single headquarters that's here, let's say you have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan, all those employees, they're all working from home. So everybody's going away from the city anymore. So nobody really needs to live in the city anymore. But if you're coming to visit, it's still a fun place to visit. If you're coming for work for the 4 or 5 days, you still have to come to work, right? For those 4 or 5 days. Nursing, business conferences, events, things like that. Tourism spots are all outdoor, still all open.
Okay. So you would send out about 100 emails, let's just say, for round numbers, 100 emails to these, listed by owners. And then you'd get about how many responses from that?
I'd probably get like 30 responses, all saying literally probably 50 people emailing back. 95 would all be no's.
95 would all be no's. So you'd have what? Five people that say that they're interested, and then would what?
5 people that just say, "Can you explain more?" And then from there, you just keep going until you finally get to one and say, "Okay, let's go take a look at the place."
Wow. So okay. So you wouldn't call anybody prior to, you just send this email out, and that's how you.
It's a waste of time, right? Like you want to see if they're interested as well. It's really hard to change somebody's mind depending on the type of person they are, right? If they're very they don't think outside the box. They don't want to, they only think linearly in one direction. Like I have to just rent to a regular family, a regular person. I don't know what short-term rental is. I don't know what Airbnb is. It's not worth their time and energy to try to convince them otherwise. I'd rather just move on and focus on somebody else. So that's why when I sent that email, if they were interested right away, then I would focus my time on them.
So would you not really consider or look at the properties prior to? It was just, mass email out and then whatever kind of falls from that. Okay.
Exactly.
And was that the same strategy that you used in Dallas as well?
Yeah. So for Dallas, it's actually interesting is that some person in a Facebook group, Sean's Facebook group, was ending her leases for those 3 units. I talked to the owner of the building myself. I told him, I'm an established company from Philadelphia. I want to make the move to Dallas. I'll take 6 units, but give me a better lease concession than you're currently giving your current operator. And I got, it's like 4 months free on a 2-year lease, basically.
Wow. And this is like what's the rent, and kind of if you could break down what this property is about? Yeah.
So it's about 5 minutes from downtown Dallas, near the Deep Ellum area. It's about $800 a month in rent, plus utilities, your internet. You're all in for about $1,000 a month. AirDNA, every other website, from doing all my basically background searching, people are making around $2,200 to $2,500 a month on a 1-bedroom unit, basically, in revenue.
And so they're so they're basically doubling the profit around there. Okay, so and Dallas is another market. I think isn't Sean in Dallas as well?
Sean's also in Dallas.
So yeah. You're creeping up on him. You're taking all the markets that he's in.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just following him pretty much wherever he goes at this point.
That's funny. So why? So you've obviously you kind of found your niche. And the one in Dallas is also they're 1-bedrooms as well. And you're trying to stay within the 1-bedroom realm. You're not trying to venture outside of that.
Yeah, there's been horror stories, man. I've read online like horror stories where people have 20 units, a party happens, neighbor calls, Airbnb bans the whole account, completely bans it, bans their social, bans everything. If that happens to you, your business is done. You're literally going to go to zero the next month, right? How are you going to afford $20,000 in expenses if your account's banned, right? For me, it's a risk thing. It's not worth it, honestly. Like, sure, you're making a little bit more money, but the risk increases exponentially because there's more chance of a party happening. It literally takes one neighbor to make that phone call. Airbnb will ban your account right away. And it's been happening to a lot of people recently. Ever since Airbnb's IPO, they've been cracking down on this a lot and just outright banning hosts without even asking what happened, give us some proof, just outright ban.
And what are some of the biggest challenges that you see, trying to scale like a 1-bedroom? Are you doing like 1-night stays, or are you doing like 2-night minimums, or what's your strategy?
No, 1-night stay is perfectly fine with me. So pricing strategy is also another big thing, right? Where I'm pricing my prices really, really high for single day stays. I'll give you an example. One of my studios, the base rate's around $80 a night. Okay. Now I use Beyond Pricing for all my units. Beyond Pricing works well. But then I also have to do manual pricing adjustments as well. So I'll basically give a discount for a 2-day stay, discount for a 3-day stay, 20% off on a 4-day stay, and so on, right? Then you have your monthly stays, okay? So if somebody wants to book far out, right, and block out my calendar, I'm going to raising my prices like by 40%, okay? So even if they do book that day, right, I'll still make a lot of money, okay? But I want my calendar clear far out. That way, if somebody does want to book a week or 2 weeks in advance, they can, no problem. So a lot of my stays have been 4 days on average. So somebody just booked, for example, like this weekend next weekend as a 1-day stay, instead of paying $80, they paid $130, right? Somebody else booked for July the 4th, they paid $200 for a 1-night stay, right? So sure, you can block on my calendar for those days, but you're gonna be paying almost double or a much, much higher rate. So that basically makes people book 1-day stays less and block on my calendar, and keeps it open for longer term stays.
So I mean, you're getting into these properties for what, around almost like $4,000 is about how much you're spending?
Yeah, so I don't buy anything used. Everything brand new from Wayfair, IKEA, Amazon, Costco. Costco is a thing that a lot of people don't really order from or use. I think Costco is honestly the best when it comes to bath towels, your cutlery, toilet paper, like everything basically. Costco is amazing. The only problem is you don't really know what Costco sells until you walk into the Costco store, right? So I've had like trips where I have to drive 5 times to Costco in 1 day to get stuff, right? So it cost me around, I'd say, about $2,500 for a studio, $4,000 for a 1-bedroom, like $55,000 for like a 2-bedroom.
So in total, with like rents and furnishings, all of that, you're in about around 7,000, 6,000.
Around there. Yeah.
Okay. And then you're typically getting 30% profit. So you're doing around what, a 60% ROI about?
Yeah, around there. So like, I'll give an example. Like this month right now with the current 9 units, I think we're at almost already for the month. I think we're at 14K in revenue. Profit on that, it's going to be around 30%, right? So just from my calculations on the 6 units in Dallas, it's just doubling the rent and 30% gross margin on that. Revenue next month, at the end of February, should be around 30,000. I should be making about 30,000 starting in March, and then obviously 30% of that is around 10,000 in profit.
And you came in during also kind of a weird time too, in Philadelphia. I don't know if it's the same in Dallas with slow season. Is that something that you're concerned about, or did you kind of adjust for that as well?
I was really worried about slow season in January, and if I show you my Porter app right now, it's nothing but 90% above and occupied, which is amazing.
And do you have any plan, or do you have any insight as to, like, how you if it will slow down, and how you plan to kind of prepare for that?
Yeah, so for me, it's where I need to basically figure out what my daily average rate is, right? Divide that up by 30. Let's say one of the units is $1,000, right? You divide it up by 30, and you're about $33 a day, okay? Even if I have bookings that are, let's say, 4 days, 5 days, 4-day bookings, then I have those days in between that are usually vacant. I will then drop my price down from $90 down to $50, down to $40, okay? As long as I'm making anything above my cleaning fee, that's still revenue coming in, right? Because your costs are fixed. Whether somebody stays there for $10 or somebody doesn't stay there at all, your costs aren't really changing as long as you're making above the cleaning fee, right? And also keep your cleaners on payroll, give your cleaners work to do, right? Rather than coming all the way downtown to clean 1 unit, to get to clean 2 or 3, right? So that's something that I'm doing with Orphan Days, is I'm dropping a price like crazy on like today, tomorrow, the day after. That way I'm getting those, days that wouldn't be booked, completely booked basically.
Nice. And what have been some of your biggest challenges with scaling your business in such a short amount of time?
Capital, honestly. Like I'm almost out of I'm pretty much out of capital at this point, right? To scale. Like I've literally started in these last 2 months, I've probably spent like $50,000 just growing as fast as I possibly can, building out the team as fast as I possibly can. So right now, another big thing for me is my day job, right? Like I work as an engineer full time, so I don't have time, right, to keep track of like a million things. So I basically outsource and out-hire for a lot of things, and automation helps too. So if you want me to go into more of the automation and what I use for
if you want to give your stack.
Yeah, so I use Your Porter. Okay, Your Porter is not expensive. It's around, I think, $6 to $9 a month. Okay, $6 to $9. Guesty is amazing, but they're charging an insane price. It's almost $55 a month. It's not worth it. Porter does almost everything. So I use Your Porter for all the automated messaging. Okay, for the Porter, you can basically send the automated messages at the right time. It says the cleaners are scheduled the night before, so the cleaners are never calling me saying, "What house do I go to? Where do I go?" It sends them a schedule the night before. They go, they clean, they do their thing. Okay, remote lock. If you know the remote lock, yeah. So I've
heard of that.
Yeah, so I use Schlage smart locks on every single door. Instead of me going on my phone, changing the code every single time, deleting it, remote lock, what it does is as soon as somebody books, it generates a code for the guest. It only activates at 4 p.m. And then when they check out, it deletes the code right away at 11 a.m. So that way I never have to go into the smart app and ever delete a code, add a code. It takes up too much time, right? 4 or 5 check-ins a day. So remote lock handles everything for me. And that's $6 a month, right? So I have Minute smart devices in every single unit. That's $6 a month. Ring stick-up cams, they're battery operated. The batteries last for about a month and a half. My cleaners charge them every once in a while whenever they go clean the unit. That was around $6 a month as well. And then what else I use? Now what I'm also experimenting with is virtual co-host, basically, right? Somebody that handles all my messaging, my day-to-day messaging. So I have a co-host that I hired from Pakistan, basically. So their time zone is different than us, right? So when I'm sleeping, they're awake, right? So during the peak hours, they're always live while I'm sleeping, or I'm busy with my life, right? So right now I'm training them right now. So we have an Excel document, a Google document for every unit, right? We label everything. We document everything for check-in process, check-out process, what the unit looks like, what day is trash, how to turn the heat on for each unit, Wi-Fi passwords for everything, right? Everything's there. That way, if they ever need to refer to something, they can go back to a message the guest right away, right? And I tell them anytime something does happen or a problem does happen, document it. That way, another virtual host, or we can always look back in that document and see, okay, this problem happened before? Yes, this is how we correct it right away. So I'm training them right now. Hopefully, once the units in Dallas are live, I'll hire them on. I was like, okay, you guys are not full-time. I'll be paying you guys every week just to be working 24/7 around the clock.
And how much does that go for?
$100 a week.
$100 a week.
For 24/7 complete guest messaging.
Okay. And that's all that they're going to be handling is just the guest messaging?
Yeah. Anything from guest messaging, alteration requests, things of that nature. Anything claim related, I handle myself. That's something that's like very tricky. You have to like play it properly to handle claims and stuff. So I handle that myself. But everything else from managing the calendar, that's something I'll always do myself. And everything else from messaging, they'll do themselves.
I'm sure you've got some plenty of insight, especially right now. Airbnb is becoming notoriously bad with their resolution center, but you've also had a lot of experience with resolutions in Airbnb.
Oh yeah, I've had 11 times where I had submitted a claim for smoking and got paid out for 10 out of 11 times. So a pretty good hit rate, on claims for smoking. So
what are some of your trade secrets with the resolution center?
Those, let's say, so one, you have for Airbnb right now, they're only basically giving you a payout for physical damage, okay? And it also really, really depends on the representative that you get, okay? And you can just tell right away that representative doesn't want to help you. I tell them right away, and please talk to somebody else, or just call back a different time, basically, okay? And you have to make sure you document everything. A lot of the people in Philly are dumb. When they come and smoke weed, they smoke cigarettes or backwoods or whatnot, they leave it everywhere. That's easy for me. Literally every time I've just snapped pictures, sent it to them. Within 5 minutes, email. Sorry for the inconvenience. We have paid you $150 for cleaning or whatnot. A couple times, Airbnb says, we can't pay out for cleaning. And I told them smoking is a physical damage because odor is a physical damage. And I tell them I have to pay a cleaning company to get rid of that odor for me. I'll just invoice myself, basically, right? My company, a cleaning cost, and Airbnb get paid out every single time. One time I did not get paid out because the guests, they cleaned up everything. There was no evidence of drugs or weed or anything anywhere. I couldn't really, submit the claim. So it is what it is,
Awesome. And kind of wrapping up here, I know, you're really kind of short in the space, but if you could go back and start from scratch, what would you do differently?
Not get 2-bedroom units, honestly. Like that's just the market here. I know every city is different. But just this city specifically, for some reason, I don't know what it is. People just love throwing parties, man, in 2-bedroom units and above. So yeah, I would just, stick away from those 2-bedroom units and just stick with my studios and my bedrooms. That's what I'm good at. And what I've learned, honestly, they're easier to manage too. The people that are coming are there mainly for business reasons. They're mainly there for corporate reasons. They're for school reasons. It's not something, people are there for any sketchy reasons whatsoever. And it really is a numbers game at that point, right? Sure, you're only making $700, $800 in profit for a unit, but you're getting that unit at a much lower cost. And it's just a numbers game. Just get as many of those as you possibly can, right? And just grow your revenue that way.
Do you have any issues, coming from Canada, your wife not being able to work? You said, prior to the call, and you just being here on a work visa. Is that run into any issues, or any advice to anybody that is maybe from, Canada that is trying to operate here?
The social security number, that's a big thing. If you don't have a social security in America, you can't do anything. Literally, you cannot do anything in America without social security. But see, if you're on a work visa, you get a social security. And then after that, I have my LLC, right? And your LLC gets its own EIN number. Once your LLC has its own EIN number, then you don't need your social security anymore. And you can do everything through your EIN number. But you can't get your EIN number for your LLC if you don't have a social security, right? So, it's literally impossible to do anything in this country without a social security number. That's like the only way to do anything. Form an LLC, signing leases. Anytime they run a background check on you, let's say my credit, for example, you need a social security number, right, to run a credit check. You don't have one, they're not going to rent you, which is the problem.
A lot of people are, hesitant about moving forward because they feel like they need like a DNB number. Was that anything that you had to deal with, or did you just go straight to Social Security?
Well, because my work visa is like specific for engineers, so we got Social Security right away. It took literally 30 minutes.
Okay. No issues with like landlords or apartments. You're typically working not with like larger REITs. You're working with smaller landlords.
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you kind of see yourself going in the future? Is this something that you see as being like a long-term sustainable business, or is this more something that's just like quick cash flow, profit while it's there? What's kind of your mindset with this?
Yeah. So for me, it's like, I have two options, right? You can quit your job and you can focus on this full time. All right. Or I can just keep working my job and do this as well. Right. So sure, let's say I hire out for a lot of things and I have to add maybe an extra 70% in management costs, but I still get to keep my day job. And that's what I want, right? I don't want to quit my day job as of yet, right? Maybe like, let's say, for example, starting February, I'll start making 30K a month in revenue, right? And then maybe a little bit after that, we'll see where we got to. Once that maybe hit 50, 60K a month in revenue, then I'll reassess and see, okay, do I still need to keep working my day job or not, right? That's the main thing. But as of right now, like my day job as an engineer, like I like it. I enjoy my job. I enjoy working with my coworkers. I enjoy my boss. And so for me, it works out. A lot of people aren't in that situation. I'm lucky enough to like my job. So for me, it's not the situation where like, I hate my job. I want to quit. I want to escape that 9-to-5. Trust me, I want to skip that 9-to-5 too. But just as of right now, I don't feel the need to because I've outsourced and out hired for almost everything, right? So for me, automation is a big thing. Like I was telling you earlier, one of the main things is people, right? Hiring the right people is a big, big thing for me, right? So a lot of people that I hired are people that I can trust, right? And that's a big thing when it comes to handling guests and issues and things like that. And also training them as well to the point where they know what to do if a situation does happen. Right. So I feel like right now, especially in Philly, I'm at that point where I have that team in place. If I were to expand to, 20 units or 25 units, it's just hiring on the right people and just having the people that I originally hired, train them and be under them. Right. That's what I did originally when I hired my cleaners. I paid my cleaners all $12 an hour in Philadelphia. Okay. Now I promoted one cleaner to supervisor and I increased her pay. But now her job is to handle all the other cleaners. Okay. And same thing with everybody else. Like everything else, like is just outsourced and outmanaged, and I don't really have to deal with those day-to-day things, such as property maintenance, emergencies, on-calls, toilets clogged. It does not have to do with me anymore. I call somebody, he shows up, 20 minutes, he fixes it. Sure, it'll cost me $50, but it's just a one-time thing that the chance of that happening again are very unlikely, right? Another big problem, a lot of people, I don't know if they talk about, is your laundry situation, right? For me this is advice I give a lot of people when they ask me, how do you do laundry, okay? I have a deal here with the laundromat, okay? And a big, big thing for reviews is cleanliness. And the first thing you notice is when you go into your bed, you see hairs. Did you see any hairs there? Instant, 1 star, 2 stars, send a picture to Airbnb, full refund, cancel everything, okay? And it's really hard when you're using your own laundry, okay? Your own washers and dryers, all right? And on top of that, the regular washer and dryers you buy from like a Home Depot or a Sears or a Costco or whatnot, they're not as good as a commercial washer and dryer, right? They don't get rid of stains as easily. They don't get, when you do the laundry, there's a lot of wrinkles in them too, okay? So I have a deal with this. I'll explain to my laundry process. Last thing, basically. What happens is before, what I was doing is my cleaners were getting paid $12 an hour, but they would literally be done cleaning a studio or a one bedroom in 1 hour and be sitting there for 2 hours waiting for the washer and dryer. It was annoying, right? So I had to figure out to create a system where I had to be more efficient with time, right? Because time is money. I can't pay someone to sit there, right, for the dryer. So what I did was I negotiated a deal with a laundromat in the city. And what they do basically is my cleaners will go into the unit, they'll strip off all the sheets, all the linens, all everything, put them in a big blue laundry bag, turn over the unit. I have 4 sets of laundry and linens for every unit. Turn it all over within 45 minutes, done. Take the laundry bag, put it at the front of the building, leave to the next house, leave to the next apartment. And they can hit 4 or 5 apartments within that 5-hour period, right? And at the end of the day, at 5 o'clock, a delivery driver would come to every single apartment. You'd walk into the front door, pick up the laundry bags, take them to the laundromat. They would then wash them, dry them, fold them, lint roller and everything. Take off any hairs, any lint whatsoever, wrinkle-free, press them, put back in laundry bags for me. And the next morning, deliver them also for free, right? At 10 a.m., waiting for the cleaners to take them upstairs with them into the units. And that, I just increased my productivity by tenfold at that point.
And do you have like a dedicated like cleaning hub or something for them? Like how are you operating, in really small spaces like one bedrooms?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have like a linen closet, or like how are you coordinating like all of these?
So what they're doing is basically it's really a linen closet. Yeah, you have bedrooms and stuff. You put all the stocks of sheets in that closet, and then every time a new pair needs to get taken off, they throw a new one on, throw the old one in the laundry bag. And when the laundromat drops it off the next morning, you take the new fresh laundry, put it on, take the old one, put it in the laundry bag, or put it in the closet for the next set, basically, right? That just increased productivity, increased efficiency, and it made my cleaning cost much lower because now I don't have to buy Tide, I don't have to buy Tide Pods, I don't have to buy OxyClean, I don't have to buy any of those things anymore, right? So that's a big saver as well. And time is one of the main things.
Do you think that this would still be a sustainable business if you just had contractors, or do you think because of what you've done on the cleaning side, being able to save that money there, that's what's allowed you to be able to really profit from these units?
Oh, for sure. That helps a lot, right? Because my cleaning cost for a 1 bedroom, or let's say even a studio, is $35. So I will just charge $35 for that unit, okay? It'll take my laundry person about an hour to clean it. So it'll be $12 gone, right? For a 1 bedroom turnover, they charge me by the pound, right? Maybe it'll cost me $15 in laundry, right? Maybe $16. And delivery and pickup is free. So my overall cost for cleaning that unit, for the cleaner and the laundry, is around $30. So a $5 gap for any case anything happens, right? Everybody else in my area is charging $60 an hour, $60 for cleaning fee, right? They can't operate that way because they have to pay their cleaners $25, $30 an hour. Then they have to have them wait for 3 hours for the laundry or for the washer and dryer to work, right? So even though my nightly rate is a little bit more, if someone's looking for a 1-night stay, they'd rather book my place because my cleaning cost, is only $35 compared to $50 or $60.
Wow, Hamza, you got this down, man. You are crushing it. What do you plan on being at the end of 2021?
So my goal is to be at 20 units by end of 2021. I'm already at 15 within the first month. So I don't know. Honestly, we'll see. We'll really see. Where I can go. For me, it's about capital, right? The more capital I have, the more bigger I can grow, right? It's not about finding units. It's not about the business operation. It's not about doing that sales calls. I already know all that. I have all that down. It's literally just capital, right? So once I run out of money, then I'm going to call my dad. No, but honestly, it's just capital, honestly, at this point. It's just the more capital I have, the bigger I can go, the faster I can go, right? Speed is the main thing too, because the more time it takes for you to set up a unit, the more money you're losing too. For example, right? Like 6 apartments. My goal is when I fly out to Dallas that weekend, I have, the weekend off from work. I have 6 guys that are going to be waiting for me and another 2 if I need to furnish $25,000 worth of furniture within 3 days, 12-hour days if we have to, right? So for me, speed is a big thing too. So the faster I'm in there, the faster I can get out, the faster I can move on to the next units.
Awesome. Well, Hamza, what's the best way if anybody wants to be able to reach out to you, if they have any more questions or they want to be able to connect, how could they reach out?
Yeah. So if there's any owners or investors or landlords or property management companies looking to fill in vacant units in Dallas or Philly, please let me know. My website's hspropertyholdings.com. You can also follow me on Instagram as well at HS Property Holdings. And you can also find me on there and then reach out to me if you guys have any more questions or want to partner with me.
Awesome. And, we'd love to be able to have you on a future show. I mean, you're on a rapid growth trajectory. Excited to kind of see, where you're going to be, moving forward in the future. But, thank you so much. And until next time, Host Nation, keep on hosting.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. See you guys.
Hope you hosts benefited from the show. If you found value, please go on over to iTunes, leave us a review, and let us know what you enjoy about the show. If you'd like to talk to hosts that have been featured in these episodes as well as the community, go on over to our Facebook group, The Host Nation.